The month of Ramadan, the month of the revelation of the Quran, is soon to depart from us. Yet another year, yet another Ramadan. It is now the last 10 days, the days that witnessed the greatest conquest, the conquest of Mecca, and the destruction of the Arab pagan idols of Al-Lat and Al-Uzza and Manat, all happened in the last 10 days of Ramadan. Al-Lat and Al-Uzza and Manat, the destruction of which was the final evidence that no other deen would rule supreme in Arabia, for they were the political and social pillars of Quraysh and of the Arabs. However, when we look back and we think about where we spent these last 22 days of Ramadan, have we really taken a moment to reflect on what we have actually learned? Have we remembered that it is this month of Ramadan is the month of exerting effort in the way of Allah, a month of fasting, a month of praying, the month of giving from Allah's money in sadaqah and being extra generous. For Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was generous throughout his life, but he was extra generous in Ramadan. That this month is a month of qiyam, a month of carrying the da'wah, a month of making Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's word supreme. Have we really thought back and asked ourselves whether we have accomplished any of the goals of this month, so that we may be in a position to realize the Ridwan, the acceptance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Have we evaded the outcome of the one who prejudiced themselves, the one who entered and exited the month of Ramadan and gained and realized nothing? Yes, we are all that person who has wronged and erred, and we are all that person who seeks Allah's forgiveness and expiation of our ills and wrongs. But have we evaluated ourselves? Have we re-examined and reminded ourselves of the time when we will be held accountable before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The best nights of the whole year are upon us. The last 10 days of Ramadan, which contains a night better than 1,000 nights, Laylatul Qadr, asking for those who seek Allah's acceptance, calling for repenters, calling for those who want to be pardoned. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam made it clear for us in his last Hajj, when he said, I don't know if this will be my last Hajj, and therefore ordered us to take from him our nusuk. And nusuk is not, as some people might actually translate as rituals, because there's no rituals in Islam. But nusuk is every right of Allah upon us, and includes all the continued actions of birr, of goodness, and obedience, ta'ah, that we seek to bring us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Both Imam Bukhari and Imam Muslim reported that Aisha radiallahu anha, al-Mu'mineen, said that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when he entered the last 10, he would keep the night alive with obedience. He would awaken his family to share with him the good deeds and dhikr. And he would apply himself with perseverance and diligence and roll up his bed and isolate himself from his wives. The last word in the hadith, shaddul mi'zar, is very, very important. And again, some people translate it literally to mean tightening the belt. But this does not give the word the meaning that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam demonstrated in his actions. And it is the sunnah to follow the actions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, not what we think it means. Al-Khattabi said that Shaddul Mi'zar is to dedicate and devote oneself to none else but the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in submission, to be prepared to exert the effort and endeavor to work hard for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. While Sufyan al-Thawri rahmatullah alayh stated that it refers to isolating oneself from their wives, citing the Arab poem, people who, when they fight, they tighten their loincloths from their wives even if they slept purified. The main point is not that it is one or the other. The main point is that it is the preparation for the matter at hand, and to grab the opportunity of the greatest of nights with perseverance, with diligence, and exerting of effort to master oneself in submission and obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. While saying all of that, we have to remember that Islam is not a deen of individualism. It's not a deen of self-centeredness and love for oneself. Islam is a deen of the collective, of the jama'ah, the mercifulness towards one another, empathy and sympathy for one another, and engagement with the challenges and the difficulties of the whole as if it is your own. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Witness the believers in their mercifulness, empathy, and sincere affection. Like a single body, if one organ should suffer, the rest of the body would remain vigilant with sleeplessness and fever." This mercifulness, empathy, and sincere affection is based on the idea of La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, that there is an Islamic brotherhood based on this idea of La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah and none other. If an organ is to be affected, then they will call each other to be vigilant, sleepless, as a result of the shared pain, and this sleeplessness would bring about the fever. Today, we should really feel the pain and the suffering of all of our brothers and sisters. Indeed, the body is complaining and suffers the pain, and the parts are all being tested and stressed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "And that Allah may purify the believers through trials and destroy the disbelievers." It is therefore imperative for us today, being safe and secure in our homes and amongst our families, our hearts tranquil, our bellies full, that we remember our brothers and sisters in Palestine, in Sham, in Yemen, in Sudan, in Kashmir, in Iraq, in Libya, in Lebanon, the Rohingyas, the Uyghurs, and others who are all being terrorized in their homes, and fear has replaced safety amongst them, for no reason but being Muslim, for no reason but that they witness and they bear witness that La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. The month of Ramadan calls for unity, brotherhood, sharing, and sincere affection amongst us as Muslims. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that this ummah is one ummah, and I am your Lord, so submit yourself to me. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, whomever does not concern himself for the Muslims is not one of them. Brothers, use these times to think about what is it that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wanted from us in these last 10. That we should compete for ourselves, or that we should compete for the Ridwan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that the Ridwan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala means that we should also be thinking of our brothers and our sisters and doing everything that we can to support them, and everything that we can to ensure that they have the same safety and same security that we all call for, that we all want to be part of this ummah, part of this jama'ah. وجزاكم الله خير وبارك الله فيكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.